Jussie. This story will not go away. And there's 5 reasons for that. If you want to know why this story will not go away, stay tuned to The Big Picture. Well, first of all, let me welcome you back to The Big Picture. As always, I'm asking you to listen all the way through, and then share. Please share. And let's keep this conversation going. And let's talk about the 5 reasons why this story won't go away. Number 1, I think it's becoming abundantly clear, at least to those who are trying to look at the story objectively, that there's something that's amiss about Jesse's explanation of what happened. In other words, I don't think he's being completely honest. He's either embellishing or fabricating, one or the other. And that causes this story to continue on being a running story, not a finished story, because there's something amiss about his explanations. Number 1. Number 2, this is a story that is continuing to garner public interest because I think the public doesn't understand that, generally speaking, if you've never been in trouble before and you come into the court system for the first time, generally you're going to be offered something that's called a diversion. It's a break. You're going to have to pay some type of penance, pay a fine, do some community service, and it'll be over. We talked about that earlier this week. So some people are alarmed by that because they are not aware that that's typically how it works. It works that way because there's not enough judges, there's not enough courtrooms, there's not enough DAs, there's not enough jail cells, there's not enough prison cells. It's strictly a practical thing that is done every day in court. Every place in America, I would imagine. So, but this story also, number 3, has some legs because the type of diversion that occurred in this place was extraordinary in the case of Jussie Smollett. Extraordinary in one sense, but not so extraordinary if you look at who he is. The beautiful, the powerful, the celebrities, the rich, the famous, they've always been given a break. The system has always flexed itself so as to let the famous and the powerful out of its grasp when somehow they've been inadvertently sucked in or brought into the system. And Jussie Smollett is all of those things. He's famous, he's handsome, he's got powerful friends, connections in high places, and this is a predictable result. You know, it happens every day behind the scenes with non-African Americans, but it's a problem seemingly when it happens with African Americans, which moves me on to another consideration, which is this story has legs because the city of Chicago is acting like it's so outrageous that this man was not prosecuted, when in fact, there have been multiple cases of Chicago police officers using excessive force, using deadly force against African Americans who are unarmed, and in some cases killed. And there was no prosecution. I didn't hear Mayor Rahm Emanuel crying and screaming, and the chief of police or the superintendent of police crying and screaming, and when they had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to families. So you're talking about $100,000 that you had to pay in this case? Sir, you have no credibility to maintain that this is about cost. Chief, you have no credibility. So just quiet that down, just miss us with that. But here's another consideration. This is about race. This is about race. You say, well, what do you mean? Well, the prosecutor is a black female. Jussie Smollett is obviously a black man. And the critics of what happened and what in terms of Jussie not being prosecuted are mostly white. Now, I know that there's a few African Americans. Let's make it clear. I'm not criticizing the outcome because I think that it's pretty typical and it happens to the rich and the famous all of the time. But those who are criticizing, and that includes the president of the United States, they're doing it for political reasons. They're doing it because it involves a person of color. That's what I think. You do not have to share my views or my beliefs, but tell me what you think. That's the big picture.